still automatic.
Okay. All right, so that's good. I'm gonna go ahead and excuse Mr. Jimenez at this time. So we still have one alternate left.
And Judge, there is one other thing. Some of the witnesses that are going to be testifying, which includes victims and eyewitnesses to the case, they do have concern about their image being broadcast, concerns for their safety, and would ask that their face not be shown.
Well, you need to tell me who they are when they're about ready to testify. Okay?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. All right. Let's bring Mr. Jimenez in.
He doesn't miss a month's reserve, but he's running into traffic, maybe about 15 more minutes.
That's fine.
Judge, and I'm also hearing it was Fox 13 this morning when they were reporting about opening statements. I think they reran an interview with Mr. Malcolm and Mr. McClimate talking about the evidence.
Okay.
What is the issue?
It was Fox 13 this morning, aired your interview. And I just have concerns that the jurors overheard any of it, and I just would inquire. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Jimenez, I have spoken with both the state and the defense, and they have agreed to go ahead and excuse you at this point in time due to financial hardship. Okay? All right, thank you so much.
So today was the first day. I'm thinking that they was going to have the jury process a little bit longer, but I know exactly what the state is doing. And boy, they played another foul, dirty game. So this is the opening statement phase. And we'll probably cut in like twice, maybe 3 times on the prosecution side. But it's really the defense side and their lack of that's got everybody like, the hell? Let's go.
All of their minds and hearts. We have to go back and look at the lives and associations of Charles Jones and these defendants. What did Charles Jones do to these defendants that was so bad that would cause them to confederate, to conspire, engage in this coordinated planned attack? Charles Jones belonged to and was affiliated with a group known as 6 Block. He was a member of that organization. It exists in Jacksonville. It's known as 6 Block, and it is a street gang. It consists of several members. 2 other gangs in Jacksonville, ATK and 1200, were affiliated gangs. They despise 6 Block. They detest them. They abhor them. And the level of hate between these groups is a mutual hatred. The evidence will show that these gangs have been at war for several years. And when I say war, the evidence will show you this is a war going on in the streets of Jacksonville. The hatred and the dripping animosity of these defendants towards Charles Jones, it ran deep. And the evidence will show you that. In fact, you will hear that in October of 2023, just 9 months before this, before the murder of Charles Jones, he had left his residence in Jacksonville in that same black Charger about 6 o'clock in the morning. He came to a stop sign in his neighborhood, just a few blocks from his house, when a shooter with a high-powered rifle opened fire on his car, striking his car several times and striking him in his lower leg, spraying bullets all over that neighborhood. Mr. Jones at that time was able to drive himself to a local hospital, receive treatment, and be released. That bullet, or fragment of bullet, remained in his leg until it was removed by the medical examiner who conducted the autopsy on his body here in Tampa after his murder. Earlier that same morning, a member of ATK, a man by the name of Tilly, was shot and killed at a high school football game. This shooting of Charles Jones was clearly a retaliation, but Charles Jones was not the shooter of Tilly. But that didn't matter. So why was he targeted? You won't hear any evidence to suggest that he had anything to do with that shooting. He was affiliated with 6 Block. And you're going to hear in the evidence that he wasn't just a member of 6 Block, he was a notorious member of 6 Block. Probably the most well-known member of that gang. In fact, he was the public face of 6 Block. The spokesperson, basically. He posted on social media, but most notoriously and notably, he wasn't just a spokesperson for 6 Block, he was a certified celebrity. Charles Jones had millions of followers on social media, if not tens of millions of followers, because he engaged in an activity that you heard a little bit about yesterday from one of your fellow jurors, and he was spot on. That's exactly what the evidence is going to show you in this case. This long-standing pattern of what is called drill rap. And it is an activity that Charles Jones embraced and that he engaged in under the name Julio Foolio, which was in fact his street name, Foolio. Julio Foolio. In this type of rap music, it's not just rap, it's disrespect. It's making fun of and disparaging not only ATK and 1200, the opposing gangs, but disparaging their members by name. Disparaging, and probably most incendiary you will find in the evidence, bragging about the death or deaths of other of ATK 1200 members who have been murdered. As I said earlier, make no doubt about it, this is a gang war. Mr. Jones, you will see in the evidence, not only produced this music, he produced music videos. Videos where he would travel to the gravesides of these individuals, or a graveside that was used in lieu of their graveside, and do things during the video like lay on their graves and sing around their graves and use sarcastic lyrics in his songs, pour champagne on their graves, rubbing it in the faces of ATK and 1200. And ATK and 1200 were no better. They did the same thing. You're going to see videos from members of that gang. One young man in particular, Kenyatta Bullard, known on the streets as Young and Ace, who produced not only songs about 6 Block members who had been murdered, in the days after the murder of Charles Jones, he produced a song just within almost 48 hours and put it up, talking about the murder of Charles Jones, the specific facts of it.
So the DA is basically saying, yeah, you know, Julio Foolio, he really wasn't a good guy like that. He wasn't. But what I can say is that they were all dissing each other. He got shot in the foot, his homeboys, and this is what's so crafty about the DA. The DA basically say, yep, Julio from 6 Block got shot. 6 Block members came through and smoked somebody behind him getting shot. But Julio Foolio had nothing to do with that. Nigga, that's a hell of a way to say that your homies just spun the block and just put something in the ground behind you getting killed and basically play like it's nothing. I ain't never seen no shit like that. That, like, when niggas say scary hours, spooky hours, that shit right there, very scary. So, and I'm not laughing, but I've never seen a sentence uttered like that a day of my life. Hey, Young and Ace, bro, listen. Nigga, you better not do nothing. Homie, you better, I don't want to say where you said you at, but where you at, bro, stay there. Do not come back to Jacksonville, bro, because if you do anything, let somebody get punched, let somebody get slapped, let somebody get spit on, let somebody get stabbed, let a bullet fly from anybody that's around you, you're going to jail, bro. They are already labeling you how they gonna label you as an associate. All this shit is already grounds for a RICO. Now, they can't get you for the lyrics, but you making a diss song in 48 hours, technically by y'all rules, you were supposed to. But, boy, you done put yourself under a doggone microscope, and I don't know if you ever need to come visit Florida as a whole. They driving from Jacksonville to Tampa to spank something. I wouldn't even do it, bro. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna hold you. Well, nah, because that panhandle is kind of long up there in Florida. It's a hell of a drive, so you might could pull something off in Tallahassee or somewhere in Mobile, Alabama. But hey, I'd avoid that 10 anyways. I know. You know, well, he said he stay here. That's on the 10. I know. But, wrote it.
Hey, yo, you. Can you subscribe and turn on that bell too? Because when you do, you're helping unbiased, independent news.
Meanwhile, Armani Turner, the victim's girlfriend in the Hyundai, she ends up somehow on Fowler going eastbound and comes across a traffic stop being conducted by the University of South Florida Police Department, just a traffic stop. She pulls up and her and Mr. Howard get out, and they make contact with the police, who are having a hard time understanding them because they were so frantic and so upset. So they follow them. They try to follow them. They actually lose sight of them because she's traveling so fast. Meanwhile, Tampa Police Department are responding to multiple 911 calls of shooting at the hotel. An officer responding sees Miss Turner driving. She drives through the intersection of Fowler. McKinley goes right over the landscaping and into the parking lot. He follows her, not knowing who she is or what her part of this is, and they end up making contact with her. Officers end up driving down to the south end because it's brought to their attention that there are impacts and broken glass all over the south end of the home to suites where the shooting actually happened or began. And the first officer who gets there comes into the scene and he notices all of these 9mm pistol casings laying in the scene. And he's looking at the impacts and he's already seen the Charger. And he's wondering, where are the rifle casings? Where are they? Well, you're going to hear in this evidence there were no rifle casings, even though 2 rifles were firing it at a high cyclical rate in this attack. They weren't there because these conspirators modified their rifles. They put what are called brass catchers on the rifles to catch the brass, the shell casings being ejected from these AR-style rifles. They modified them, just like they modified that Glock pistol, made it fully automatic. That was confusing. That was beguiling to law enforcement, at least in the beginning, until they started obtaining the video that you've just seen. So how does this conspiracy unfold? How does all of this start? It starts with Charles Jones, Julio Foolio, you see his name on the top of this post on IG, putting out on his IG account this advertisement for June 22nd, which was a Saturday. The murders happened in the early morning hours of the 23rd, going into Sunday morning. And you see Mr. Jones in the middle, advertising he's going to be appearing, Julio Foolio, at Teasers on North Nebraska in Tampa, hosted by Kenny K. And he puts at the bottom, my Airbnb pool party, June 21st. And that's when he arrived here. He and partygoers arrived here that Friday. They had rented an Airbnb in Holiday in Pasco County. And they ended up on Saturday night leaving the Airbnb because he had started sending out, telling people, send me messages and I'll message you back with the address. And so many people appeared that eventually the owner of the Airbnb pulled the plug and told him to get out.
Now, normally, I'll be like, bruh, it's legal. You can carry your fire. You know what I'm saying? You are allowed to conceal carry. Now you're allowed to open carry in Florida, but you're allowed to conceal carry in the state of Florida. But, yeah. That's not the fight that they're supposed to be fighting. These dudes are, so far, it's not looking good for that trial that's going to take place in April, bruh. I ain't going to say we going to skip it, but nigga, the highlights is going to be like M1 mixtape highlights because the state of Florida is about to swish everything, bruh. Everything. Let's continue on, please.
Like two. Logistics. This is the beginning. She's trying to find lodging. Trying to find lodging for this operation. Now, a few moments later, a screenshot of an Airbnb message is documented. The message is addressed to Rashad Murphy, confirms his reservation at Lagoon Oasis 9703 Gazebo Pond in Tampa, June 22nd to June 24. And in the message of that message there from the owner of the Airbnb, our HOA requires for security purposes that all guests booking with us provide a valid ID, which he obliges and sends his valid ID. Now we go to the 22nd. This is the Saturday, earlier in the day, before Julio Foolio is going to start appearing at clubs in Tampa. This is the residence of Sean Gaithright, one of the conspirators. That is Mr. Gaithright walking out with a large duffel bag, and Isaiah Chance walking out with bags. And you'll see they start loading that black car, which is a Chevy Impala. That is the car that goes north in the hotel complex. That is the car transporting the assault team. And they load the bags into the trunk. That BMW on the top of the video there is being driven by Mr. Chance. And you see him bringing out another large bag. They're kitting up, and they're getting their gear into their transports. You'll see in the evidence that Mr. Chance ends up leaving in that Beamer. He drives and picks up his girlfriend, this defendant, Alicia Andrews, and brings her back to this residence. And then the three of them, Miss Andrews, Mr. Chance, and Mr. Gaithright, get into that Impala. And they drive here to Tampa, and they drive to the Airbnb. And there will be zero doubt about all of that. Because that Impala, while it's en route, is being picked up on license plate readers. You will see in the evidence. Their cell phones are tracking, hitting cell towers as they travel in unison all the way down to I-75, coming across from Jacksonville and heading directly into Tampa. When he comes back, Mr. Chance brings his contribution to the assault team. The Glock pistol with the extended magazine. He tucks it into his waistband. You can see the extended magazine sticking out in the trigger guard and the slide and the dust cover of the pistol. Just a more close-up photo of it. You can see it bulging out of the right side of his warm-up pants he's wearing. So these three, Chance, Gaithright, and the defendant, get in that Impala. And they drive. You'll find in the evidence that Gaithright in the middle and Chance, the defendant's boyfriend, are very tight. They were close friends. Mr. Chance calls Mr. Gaithright his little brother. And you'll see in the video when they are loading up, you'll see more video during this trial of Mr. Chance putting in the codes on the front door of the house that Mr. Gaithright lives at.
So there's no proof that, one, she knows he's a felon, so that he's carrying as a convicted felon. So this is all before all of this crap happens. And they basically go in and show how it's really a trial against the damn guys who allegedly did it, which they pretty much are done anyways. We don't really got to say allegedly, but the way that they just operated today, I have to. So, one, it's no real proof that she had anything to do with anything. Her looking up at Airbnb and all that, she could have been told to do that. Hey, baby, go ahead and blah, 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 all this other stuff. Yeah, that happens. I don't know if you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of dumb. Don't be fair. So when he's saying all this shit, I'm listening. I'm like, and? So buddy got a gun in Florida. Common. Extended magazine in Florida. Common. They're gearing up to go to Tampa. Got it. Anything that's damning? No. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get into the opening statement by the defense, and then I'm going to just wrap it up real quick because that's what's supposed to convince you, but so far, it ain't convinced me just yet. Let's go.
There are a few things that you should keep in mind throughout this trial. One, on the weekend Charles Jones was killed, Alicia Andrews was on a weekend trip with her boyfriend with only one agenda: to be with her boyfriend. Two, Alicia Andrews is not in a gang. Three, with the exception of her boyfriend, Alicia Andrews did not know any of those men in that group, and none of those men in that group knew Alicia Andrews. As a matter of fact, if there was some conspiracy, Alicia Andrews was not in the loop because she was not in the group. 4, Alicia Andrews is not a part of the drill rap culture, nor the drill rap scene. 5, Alicia Andrews did not have any physical evidence on any weapon displayed by the state. You would not find DNA, fingerprints, no physical evidence whatsoever linking Alicia Andrews to this case. 6, Alicia Andrews did not have a motive. In other words, there is no evidence whatsoever to support this case of conspiracy or first-degree murder against Alicia Andrews. I'm sure you're wondering, if there's no evidence against Alicia Andrews, then why are we here? We're here because of the perception of the facts of one man, Detective Juan Ramos. But ladies and gentlemen of the jury, perception is not reality. Detective Juan Ramos is the lead detective on this case. Let me tell you a bit about him. Detective Juan Ramos had only worked homicide for about 4 months when he got this case. Became a homicide detective in February. This murder happened in June. His first time as a lead detective on the case, and he lands perhaps one of the biggest homicide cases that the Tampa Police Department has seen in a while. Not by any merit, not by something he did to deserve it, simply luck of the draw. The Tampa Police Department handles 40 to 60 homicides a year, and they put their detectives in rotation. And so, luck of the draw, Detective Ramos gets this case. He shows up to the scene, speaks to a couple of his fellow officers, and begins to talk to witnesses, gathers some information about evidence and what have you. But his first big break in the case came when he got some intel from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office advised him that perhaps a man named Rashad Murphy and a man named Isaiah Chance might have something to do with this homicide. His second big break came when he ran a bullet through, and I say a bullet, the ATF gathered 30 of the 31 bullets left. He had one bullet. Luck of the draw. ran this one bullet through their system that kind of, and it's a shell casing, not a bullet, a shell casing. It has a fingerprint, once the firing pin strikes the casing, it leaves like a fingerprint, a distinct marking. And he gets a hit that alerts him to the fact that there were other fingerprints matching 5 shootings in Jacksonville prior. So now he has the idea that the shooters might have come from Jacksonville. After that, he proceeds to gather intel like information from license plate readers. Then he starts looking at cell phone data records. Then he uses that information to piece some other things together that leads him to a few spots in town. An Airbnb, a McDonald's, a strip club called Teasers, and a club called Truth 18. And you saw some of the video footage. When Detective Ramos first gets this Airbnb video, he sees Alicia Andrews at the front door and surmises that because he sees no one else go in, Alicia Andrews must have let them in the back door. But perception is not reality. He sees Alicia Andrews at the McDonald's with no mask, and then sees her at the club, in the parking lot of the club Teasers with the mask, and surmises that she must have had the mask on to cover her face at Teasers because she didn't have a mask on at McDonald's. But perception is not reality. Again, he sees Alicia Andrews with her boyfriend at Club Truth 18 walking with the mask on, surmising once again because she didn't have a mask on at McDonald's, but did have a mask on as she walked towards the club. She attempted to conceal her identity with that mask at Truth 18. Ladies and gentlemen, perception is not reality. It's just some human decision. Reality, however, is immovable. And we're going to talk about Alicia's reality in just a moment when I tell you what really happened. But with all of this intelligence, all of this assumption, all of this surmise, Detective Juan Ramos goes and gets Alicia Andrews and brings her into an interrogation room. And he begins to present to her what he calls evidence and tell her what his perception of the evidence is, as if it is reality.
And this is where it really gets really good. I'll give him his credit. So far, I'm gonna give him a B plus because you're not gonna see him really put up anything to, let's say, dissuade the jurors from thinking that she's guilty. But the prosecution, they can't get no more than basically a B minus because we didn't see too much of shit that puts her as anything that had anything to do with the planning. So far, it really just seems like she's there for the ride along. She's there because her boyfriend is there. She real life could be innocent. I'm gonna be honest. She really could have just been one of them dumb girls that thought it was cute to be with a hood dude and, all this BS and all this shit. And this what comes with the territory. That's why you dumbass ladies need to leave these stupid hood dudes alone. This shit won't ever end well. Y'all can't turn these hood dudes into home dudes. They gotta do that on their own. You ain't got no job, don't need to be messing with him. He running and ripping and running the streets, don't need to be messing with him. Just gonna be fair. You might want to, have your fun and thrills with him, but that's about it, shawty. These cats only have one way to live, and that's to get the hell up out of here while they are young. Just as the facts. But as he stated, she's not in the loop because she's not in the group. There's no text messages giving her direction on anything what to do. And I ain't gonna lie, this is actually looking good for her. Just gonna be fair. But if he's able to articulate it, that's the promise. So I'm gonna make this a longer video. If it don't stick to landing, then it is what it is. I'm going to let him do his whole entire spiel, and then I'm going to just tell y'all at the end what I think, because if I cut it, we probably going to be missing a bunch of stuff, and I think he did a all right job. Now, some of y'all may call me biased and all that and everything, and that's cool. I won't run from that, but for me, that Johnny Cochran shit that he just pulled, if the club don't fit, you must quit. Well, if she ain't in the loop, she's not in the group, which means she didn't take the orders as a soldier of the troop. I can't say that she did anything. She might have had an idea, but there's no proof of that. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove ultimately. And so far, the DA today has not done that.
Simply not. What really happened in this case is Alicia Andrews was on a weekend trip with her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend. But before we talk about the trip, let me tell you a little bit about Alicia. Alicia, high school graduate, did really well in school, well enough to apply to college and get accepted at Bethune-Cookman University. Reality. High school graduate, good student. Applied to and was accepted to Bethune-Cookman University, right there in Daytona, not too far from home. But chose not to go to stay close to home and instead went to tech school, become an esthetician, does hair, not hair, but eyelashes, makeup, nails, skincare, that kind of thing. She was a substitute teacher whom parents trusted with their children, even children who had some special needs and disabilities. This was Alicia. While in school, Alicia Andrews. The state reminded me that I have to use her first and last name.
Objection, improper.
Yeah, I must sustain the objection. So that's the general rule in court, last names only, okay, for everybody. All right, thank you, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you, Your Honor. So Alicia Andrews, while in school, befriended the sister of Isaiah Chance. They ran in the same social circles in high school, and through that process, Isaiah Chance became familiar with her, and she with him. And he reached out to her via direct message, and they developed a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. And, I mean, you know, Isaiah Chance, tall, slender, handsome fella, captivating, charismatic. Alicia liked him. He liked her. So she thought. She would learn through their tumultuous, on-again, off-again relationship that perception is not always reality, and Isaiah Chance just really wasn't the guy she thought he was. You heard about the tattoos, sure. Young lady, liking a boy in high school, who, to her, was just a rapper. Not a gangster, not some street code name. Gutter was Isaiah's rap name. So, Alicia Andrews got her boyfriend's rap name tattooed on her. A tattoo that she wasn't supposed to have, just like the relationship with Isaiah Chance. But it happened. As time moves on, Alicia Andrews learns that not only is Isaiah Chance more than not nice, sometimes he could be threatening, controlling. Sometimes she'd have to suffer serious consequences if she upset him. She learned that in the most serious ways. So, fast forward to 2023, Alicia Andrews and Isaiah Chance on again, off again, on again, off again. Now, could be that Alicia's pregnant. This is during that on again, off again time period. They decide to take this trip. There's a big fight, a lot of fuss right before, and there's this makeup time. Isaiah says, hey, let's go to Atlanta. She didn't want to go that far away from home. Then he says, let's go to Tampa.
Your Honor, I object and ask to approach.
Okay, what's the legal basis for the objection?
So give her the good girl vibe and all this stuff. She was a teacher. She had a job. She did lashes. She did all this stuff, Bethune-Cookman and all that. So basically, it's going to look like good girl caught up in a bad circle. And that's what we can ultimately say. Shit, we know that story from a bunch of other type of females just like this. So far, so good. He just got to stick the landing. That's all he has to do. I know I said I wasn't going to interrupt anymore. This is a longer video, so hopefully it does what it's supposed to do. But, hey, it is what it is. This is y'all evening drive. Hey, hit that like button like you like something so far. If you like what you like. If not, comment and tell me, bro. Hey, man, hold on, bro. Check me. Like, nah. You being whatever, and stuff like that. Because so far, I'm not seeing it. Now, that could completely come unhinged tomorrow. But so far, not seeing it. But let's continue on. Maybe he doesn't stick to landing.
There doesn't follow this young lady on Instagram. I'm not sure if you know how the Instagram thing works with direct messages, but when you DM somebody, if you're not a follower, direct message someone, if you're not a follower, the message just sits in the request, kind of waiting for the person to approve the message you intend to send. So Isaiah Chance doesn't follow this woman who does half-offs for Airbnbs and asks Miss Andrews to reach out to the woman whom Miss Andrews does follow and ask her to see if she can hook up an Airbnb for the weekend. Miss Andrews does. Gets on Instagram and says, hey, half-offs, ask for availability in response. She says, or ask for time in response, and she says, let's do it this weekend. She says, how many rooms? She says 2. Now, there's some assumption on Detective Ramos' side that because Alicia Andrews asked for 2 rooms for this romantic getaway, as he claims it to be, was some indication that she intended for this other group of guys to come to the Airbnb with them. In reality, Miss Andrews and Isaiah Chance were kind of on the outs. Didn't know if they were going to be on the in or the outs. So they got 2 rooms, bigger, more comfortable, some space, for this trip that was to be a trip of reckoning and maybe reconciliation. Ultimately, though, Alicia Andrews and the friend or follower does not book the Airbnb. Somebody else does. Alicia Andrews did not know that somebody else books the Airbnb. She was out of the loop. Nonetheless, Airbnb booked on the way to Tampa. Isaiah Chance, and you saw the video, before he picks up Alicia Andrews, stops by Sean Gaithwright's house, where he packs up all of these bags. Alicia Andrews never sees what goes into the Impala. She's not a part of that packing process, not in the loop. Isaiah Chance goes and then picks up Miss Andrews, brings her back to where they pack the bags, and then they head down to Tampa. Miss Andrews believes that they're about to hit the road, come straight from Jacksonville to Tampa, but they make a stop at this gas station. As Alicia Andrews sees her boyfriend get out and dap up some people and what have you, and the next thing you know, they're on the road again. Now, mind you, Sean Gaithwright's in the driver's seat. Isaiah Chance is in the front passenger seat, and Alicia Andrews is in the back seat, on her phone, TikToking, FaceTiming, or whatever it is they do on a road trip. Once arriving in Tampa, get to the Airbnb, just her, Isaiah Chance, Sean Gaithwright. While the 2 men in front get out of the car, Miss Andrews is in the back still on her phone. The gentlemen get out of the car, go inside the Airbnb. Miss Andrews then later gets out the car a few minutes after, goes to the front door. You saw it in the video, knocks on the door, and waits for someone to let her in. Now, when Detective Juan Ramos sees the video of Miss Andrews at the door, he perceives that Miss Andrews must have been the one who let the people who let her in the Airbnb because they don't see anybody else go in before her. Not the case. And the evidence will show you that. Alicia Andrews knocked on the door for the first time ever, approaching the Airbnb for the first time ever, let in by someone who was already in the Airbnb. She did not walk in the Airbnb and unlock a back door to let people come in to avoid being captured by the Ring camera. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Once inside the Airbnb, Ms. Andrews goes upstairs, takes the laundry off the bed, the linen off the bed, puts it in the washing machine downstairs, and goes back upstairs. And so she's washing the bed linen, and upstairs on her TikTok, on her phone, TikToking or whatever it is, talking to her sister via text message, and talking to Mr. Chance's mother about how to operate the washing machine. And so she's upstairs the entire time before they leave to go to McDonald's. Alicia Andrews does not know who's coming in and out downstairs, doesn't know that there's a Rashad Murphy coming by, a Davion Murphy showing up, no clue. When it's time to go to McDonald's, though, she finds out. When it's time to go to McDonald's, she comes downstairs, and Mr. Chance gives her the keys and says, hey, go get in the car. And of course she does. She goes and gets in the passenger seat of the silver Cruise that you saw in the video, expecting that Mr. Chance would join her in the driver's seat and take her to get food. However, that's not what happens. Mr. Davion Murphy, big guy, listed at about 5'9", 215 pounds, burly-looking fella, a little gruff, comes outside and makes Mr. Chance get in the back seat, and he hops in the front seat, and he drives the Cruise to the McDonald's. And you see Davion Murphy in the driver's seat, Alicia Andrews in the passenger seat, and Isaiah Chance is in the back. Now, in the interrogation room, Detective Ramos tells Alicia Andrews that she must not be wearing a mask at the clubs to conceal, she must be wearing the masks at the club to conceal her identity because she's not wearing a mask at the McDonald's. But the reality is, Alicia Andrews thought that it was just going to be her and her boyfriend. No reason to wear the health mask, the medical mask then. She didn't know that Davion Murphy was going to bum rush the ride and take control of the driver's seat, let alone did she expect Isaiah Chance to let him do so. So she's caught without a mask unexpectedly. Davion's in the video, you see him smoking and puffing, and Alicia wants to say something, but she can't because she's afraid to say something to this guy who just bogarted the Cruise, made her man get in the back seat, and took over. She won't say anything. Not because she was trying to hide herself. She didn't say anything because she was scared. Not because she wanted the guy to smoke in her face, because she was scared. They get back to the Airbnb, and a few hours later, they head out again. Go to Club Teasers. Now they're in the Cruise again, and Isaiah Chance is driving. Now the state asserts that because Isaiah Chance is driving and Alicia Andrews is right next to him while Isaiah Chance is on her phone, Alicia must have heard everything Isaiah said. They got that from Juan Ramos. But that's a bad assumption because there's no way of knowing. Although the cell phone data shows that that line was open and there was communication between the two phones, there's no way of knowing whether Isaiah Chance was the talker or the listener. And even if Isaiah Chance was the talker, there's no way to know whether he was using explicit language that Alicia Andrews could understand. So, when in the interrogation room, Detective Ramos asks Alicia Andrews what Isaiah Chance was saying, and she says, I don't know. It was the truth. She didn't know. And there is no evidence whatsoever to the contrary. When they get to the club and they get out, Detective Ramos assumes that Alicia Andrews allows Isaiah Chance to use her phone. That's not the case. When Isaiah Chance says, give me the phone, she knows it's in her best interest to give him the phone. And so she does. Isaiah Chance uses Ms. Andrews' phone all the time, whenever he wants. Nothing new, nothing strange whatsoever to Ms. Andrews. Give me your phone, here's the phone. So he asks for the code, to unlock the phone, and Miss Andrews gives him the code to unlock the phone. Nothing new, nothing strange, nothing suspicious about this at all. And you see them walking, and conspicuously you'll note that though there's an assertion that all the defendants in this murder conspired together, coordinated together, one stands out. When you see them in the video at Truth 18 and teasers, you see that Isaiah Chance is dressed in all black, face covered with the health mask, hoodie on. You see Alicia Andrews not dressed in all black, mask on, face completely exposed. When you see the video of the shooters at the hotel, all dressed in black, from head to toe. Rashad Murphy and Sean Gaithright. Everybody's coordinated, dressed in black, covered from head to toe. Isaiah Chance, Rashad Murphy, Davion Murphy, Sean Gaithright. All of them except Alicia. She wasn't in the loop. Then they walk up to the club. You see them go out of camera, then go back to the car, and they leave. Now, the state says that everywhere they went, they were following Charles Jones. As a matter of fact, the state even said Alicia was driving. Said that twice. Alicia Andrews doesn't even have a driver's license, doesn't even know how to drive, never drove, was never in control of the situation. She was a passenger in a car. Her boyfriend drove, in her mind, to get some food and to go to a few clubs in Tampa. She had one agenda, to be with her boyfriend. No mission to do anything to Mr. Charles Jones, be with her boyfriend. But the state says, and Detective Ramos said it too, that Alicia Andrews, if she wasn't a part of the conspiracy, should have stayed in the car. Could have stayed in the car. But at the same time, the state tells you that Mr. Jones died in the car, caged. He was a sitting duck in a car. So of course, when Isaiah Chance gets out of the car in the middle of the night, Alicia Andrews knows better than to just stay in the car. She came with her boyfriend, intends to be with her boyfriend, gets out with her boyfriend, and walks to the club with her boyfriend. She didn't stay in the car like a sitting duck, because bad things can happen to you when you sit in the car in the parking lot. That's it. That's all. No evidence whatsoever suggesting that Alicia Andrews was on some surveillance mission. As a matter of fact, there's no indication that Isaiah Chance needed her help to survey anything. When walking, you'll see Alicia Andrews is farthest away from the club. Both clubs. No indication whatsoever that Alicia Andrews was on some kind of surveillance team, surveillance mission. She wasn't even dressed like the rest of the alleged conspirators. Alicia Andrews tells Detective Ramos this, but he says, no, what are you doing there? You must be stalking. You must be surveying. And she tells him that that's just not the case. I'm with my boyfriend. She says it over and over again, I'm just with my boyfriend. As a matter of fact, in that interrogation room, every time Detective Ramos asks her questions about herself, she's forthcoming and truthful. He tells her she has the right to remain silent. She doesn't exercise that right. She tells him exactly what he wants to know when he asks her questions about her. For example, in the interview, Detective Ramos asks, is that you in the car? Without hesitation. She says, yeah, that's me. Another truthful statement. Do you know the guy who drove you to McDonald's? No, she doesn't know him. Just showed up at the Airbnb that night. You guys went to some clubs? Yeah. Couldn't get in, though. And the reason why they didn't go in is because they didn't like the price. They asked the bouncer how much, didn't like the price, didn't go in. Do you remember the clubs that you went to? Not really. Is that you and Zay as they walk through the parking lot? Isaiah, they call him Zay. Is that you and Zay? Yeah. Is he using your phone? Yeah. Who is he talking to on the phone? I don't know. At the McDonald's, was Isaiah in the back seat? Yeah. Every time Detective Ramos asks Miss Andrews a question, she's honest, forthcoming, not trying to hide anything. It's just the truth. However, Detective Ramos doesn't like the truth. He gets upset, starts yelling at Alicia, starts cussing at Alicia, starts telling Alicia that she's going to die in jail, starts telling Alicia that her parents are going to die and she'll never get to see them, tell Alicia Andrews that she'll never be able to see her baby again, all because his perception doesn't fit her reality, and he won't let her reality change his perception. But the reality is Alicia Andrews had one agenda, and this group had an entirely different agenda. You'll see. You'll see that there was no instance in time where Alicia Andrews did anything to contribute to this conspiracy. As the state spoke to you, it spoke quite a while. Never once did they say that Alicia Andrews did anything like touch a gun, touch an extended clip, touch a brass catcher. None of that. You won't find any physical evidence, no DNA, no fingerprints. You think that being a part of this big conspiracy, at least one time, ex-boyfriend or somebody in the group said, hey, hold this gun. Hey, give me that magazine. Hey, what about the brass catcher? Not one time. No physical evidence, no DNA supporting any assertion that Alicia Andrews had anything to do with this conspiracy.
The people that they showed was about 4 different witnesses. I don't see how this lasts 2-3 weeks. I personally don't see how it lasts that long. And I'm going to tell you why. They're going to have to prove that she knew. And based off of what they already presented, it looked like we're going to have to get some text messages, because from what we're seeing and what the defense said basically, hey, they were supposed to go on vacay, and little bruh, he took a, dare I say, a little detour because his people told him to. One of the key things that they said during the opening statement for the defense is when Buddy got in the car and muscled his way into the driver's seat and said, take the back, while old girl chilled right there. That right there points as to what exactly? Oh, Youngin got power. Youngin in charge. Her boyfriend is a little mini pipsqueak in this. But what they're ultimately trying to do is send a damn message to the dudes who allegedly took out Julio Foolio, like, which one of y'all is going to flip? I don't know if anybody flipping yet. I believe Mickey True said one of them flipped. I didn't get a chance to watch that video, so if she did, shout out to her. Shout out to her. Go check that out over there. But from what I seen and how they presented it, yeah, they trying to make sure, hey, bruh, we going to get them out the paint immediately. This is a full-on presser, a press run, if you will, to show the world, hey, Julio Foolio gonna get justice, and all you other cats from Jacksonville to Tampa to Orlando, yeah, all you mother effers that's watching this here, yeah, y'all better know, nigga, we got cameras everywhere. They had a camera of the dude getting in the car at his grandmama house. Nigga, I'm like, technology scary as hell. Nigga, listen, me personally, I'm afraid to jaywalk. I feel like, nigga, if I jaywalk, I'm finna get a text alert like $264 for jaywalking right now on the street. Where the fuck? Hey, bro, where you come from? Where the hell you come from, bro? So that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. The dude who came in, who got shot in the arm, That was there for emotional stuff. They knew, bro. And this how the DA works, right? The DA already knew little bro was gonna come in there. He was already emotional. He traumatized. It looked like, honestly, and I'm gonna say this in the most positive way I can. It looked like Buddy is from the streets, but not from the streets as far as the gang aspect go, because he got a job. Now he could be lying. let me put that out. Some of y'all, but yeah, Ceddy Nash, you know Buddy lying, bro. You know he was whatever and all that. Nah, I don't think so. But it's possible. But for him to have a full PTSD episode on that damn stand, man, listen, that right there, that might get her out the paint. I ain't gonna hold you. That might get her out the paint, but it might not, because so far there's no evidence that I've seen that truly convicted her of anything. If anything, if they're able to prove that she knew this and she knew that and she knew everything, then hell yeah. But a female getting out the car, going to a club with her dude and all that, really? Well, like, nigga, we ain't in the hood, bro. Like, ain't no female just chilling in the car no more. And some of y'all gonna be like, oh, Nash, you was calling her guilty. So far, if they don't produce something, she is gonna be found innocent. If the DA can't prove that she had a text message, an inkling, or anything like that, bro, that all she was for the ride, then here we go, because they're gonna the main freaking witness or witnesses are gonna have to be text messages, not just text messages, but that interrogation. See, when he said, meaning the defense said, yeah, he got frustrated, he started yelling and all that, there you go. From what the defense pointed out and how they try to make it is, it was all nonchalant. They didn't know anything, meaning her. And when she went in there, she like, what the hell is this all about? So if she's really, truly, truly, truly innocent, the DA is using this to go ahead and further an agenda. Because the dudes who allegedly killed Julio Foolio, them niggas is done. One might be able to beat it, but little buddy, he had the whole Glock, everything. Like, man, it's about to get worse. If y'all think the evidence y'all seen today was bad, oh my God, it's gonna get worse. We talking about the shooters, bro. So we gonna see how all of this go. But as far as it stands right now, boy, oh freaking boy, I ain't gonna hold you. I'm not scared for nobody, but I'm gonna tell you this. It don't seem like they gonna be coming home no time soon. They said they gonna be basically looking for the death penalty. So yeah, but Buddy coming on, and this is the summary of all the witnesses. I'll make this as fast as possible. A cop coming through to the scene, basically showing that there was a shooting. A cop basically saying that, oh yeah, little buddy was dead and all this and everything like that. A girl that basically traveled and said that Foolio was there to freaking go and promo and do his little club run and go kick it for his birthday. And then his homeboy that got shot, that cried, and it is what it is. And if y'all think he's soft for crying, bro, if he's not a gangbanger, gang member, and all this shit, and he's just a regular youngin' who happened to just have a homeboy who was a celebrity rapper, it is what it is. Maybe he didn't know how dangerous he was, because he said, nigga, I was cool with all these cats. I was cool with the gutter dude. I was cool with all these people. But shit, it is what it is. Subscribe, turn on the bell, stay notified, share to keep your people aware. We at 37K away from that giveaway. Means we are 37,000 subscribers away from that. So hit that subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts on this one. These are going for free. I'll pay for the shipping. Don't worry about that part. But click right here to see how Lil Durk is trolling the feds from inside the feds about something that he had. Y'all ain't gonna believe this shit. Click right here, click right here, click right here. Or hit the playlist to get you through your day. Other than that, I'll catch y'all on the next one.